definitely going to have some kind of experience on a daily basis learning that kind of language, learning how to deal with them if you're going to be blocking SSH and just doing basic stuff with it. Which leads me into the second part, which is UFW, uncomplicated firewall. So check me out. This is going to be super easy for UFW. All you have to do for UFW, what's happening, and welcome to the second part of this tryhackme room. We're still in part 1 of hardening that Ubuntu server, but this is just the second part. We'll be going over 2 tasks today in this room, which is IP tables and UFW. Both of those are the firewall basics for hardening the server, and both of them are firewall solutions. We'll be discussing both of them, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be specifically doing a demonstration using the firewall solution of UFW, which stands for uncomplicated firewall. Using this solution, I'll just be creating a rule to block SSH access to the target machine that's available to us in this room, and then managing that firewall right, and I'm just going to be enabling that access to that same box. Alright, bet. So again, we're still in this hardening basics part 1. There is a part 2 of this room, but we're still in part 1. You definitely want to hit all these other tasks, but we'll be doing IP tables, and we'll start off right there. Here I'm already logged in. Let's see if I have sudo access to look at this. Alright, I don't have access to look at it, so let me go ahead and give myself access and elevate these privileges, which I learned from this room. If you don't know what any of this is, definitely check out the previous video. I went through what I'm doing right here to give myself access. I went through it extensively in the previous video. So now let me run that command again. So IP tables is the firewall solution that's built into every Linux distribution as far as I understand it. I think that's what they were explaining. Again, there's a lot of information to go through. Let's go ahead and run that command. So as you can see, let me go ahead and talk about what I learned, and then you go ahead and go through the room and do it yourself. So basically, IP table command will list all the chains. The chains are just going to be these things right here, these policies, I guess. So you got your input chain, your forward chain, and your output chain. These are the only ones that I really learned about in the room. Again, this is some box that's set up for labbing purposes, so I don't know what all these other chains are for. But specifically for this video, we could talk about output, the input, and the forward chain. So input is just like how they're reading, right? Input for packets that are coming into this box. These are all the rules that they're running for this. And you can see some mention of UFW, which we will get to later in the video when I do that demonstration of blocking SSH using the UFW. But mainly I just wanted to point out there's a chain here, input. You got your chain here, forward. This is for those packets that are moving through this box, right? That they're being forwarded from the local network that this box is on, wherever it's online at, and as the traffic's traversing through this box. That's what this chain is for, this policy is for. And this is for output. This is for anything that's outgoing, or the packets that are actually leaving this box and not just being like forwarded by these boxes. They're actually outgoing packets. So those are the 3 different chains that they spoke about right here in the room. Again, go over that some more. And then they go over a little bit of the configuration, and they give an example and everything like that. So I had tried to do some configuration with the IP tables, but that's definitely something that I wanted to bring up, that the difference between IP tables that I learned about and UFW is that the syntax is so much more complex. It's very in-depth, but it can get more granular with IP tables versus using UFW syntax or to manage your firewall rules and settings and everything like that. But if you use IP tables, you got to really be in depth with it and really know, because it gets down to the nitty gritty. Just this one line right here, and they break it down for you what each line, what each piece of the syntax means, right? So we'll go through that right now. So it's sudo IP tables, basically just calling that IP tables utility up, right? And then you're going to use the -A. This option is to append the rule to a specific chain. So you're telling IP tables to this rule that I'm creating right now, I want to append it to the input chain. -P, that's going to stand for the option to specify the protocol. Which protocol are we talking about, TCP or UDP? And again, they give you links to the documentation for IP tables right here. Definitely way more protocols, we all know that, but just for the basics, again, this is for just hardening basis, firewall basis, anybody trying to learn, we're just talking about TCP and UDP. So when you see that -P option, right, that stands for protocol. And then --D port, that stands for destination port. SSH-J, they said that they don't really know what this means in the reading, but they said it just means to whatever I put after here, just follow through on the packet and process it and stop processing other rules. So that's what that -J is signaling to the system to do in this syntax. So if you were to enter all of that, you would be able to block SSH. I tried to do that and I tested it after I configured it. However, again, all of this box is set up in this is not my lab, this is the lab for tryhackme, and I was still able to SSH even though I used that rule. Again, that's why these IP tables are so complicated and everything to deal with. You're definitely going to have some kind of experience on a daily basis learning that kind of language, learning how to deal with them if you're going to be blocking SSH and just doing basic stuff with it. Which leads me into the second part, which is UFW, uncomplicated firewall. So check me out. This is going to be super, super easy for UFW. All you have to do for UFW is UFW, you just enable it, and then you can just run commands like UFW, I believe it's status. And right there, UFW status, it gives you the status is active. And then just look how short the amount of information here is compared to the IP tables with all these different chains and everything. It's just a more simplified utility that you can install. I don't think it comes built in. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think it comes built in. But as you can see, it's a much more simpler way to manage and look at the firewall rules. Right here we can see 22. We all know that's SSH, and then we got TCP right there specifically for that protocol. So like I said, I'll go ahead and configure and show you how easy it is to configure a firewall rule to block SSH. So this is the syntax to do it when you're using the uncomplicated firewall. So UFW, you're just going to put deny, and then you're going to put 22/TCP. Now let me go ahead and bring up another terminal here. So over here, right, this is the target machine where I've configured the SSH to be blocked. And then this is my attack box that they give me right here. So if I try to SSH again, let me go over here, get that IP address. If I try to SSH to that guy, it's going to work because I haven't entered that rule in, right? So now, let me see if I can bring up both of these screens so we can see. Check me out. So now when I do this, we put that rule in there. We configured it. So let's verify it, right? With status. And we see now 22/TCP allow is now set to deny, as we can see, right? So now when I run that same command, the session just hangs and nothing happens. But watch this now. Just to enable SSH, it's just as easy. So the syntax to block it is deny. To allow it, you just put allow 22/TCP, and in a matter of seconds, you'll see I'll get prompted to enter the password again. And boom, it took like 4-5 seconds, but then you're prompted again, and then we could go over here and verify the status. Yes, my rule is set back to allow, and that's why I'm allowed to SSH back in there. So again, there's more reading about UFW, links here. Definitely a lot of questions to answer from the reading, and I strongly suggest you go ahead and try to, you know what I'm saying, follow along, and you go ahead and drop in the rule. And if you can figure out how to put an IP table and use the IP table syntax, and configure that to block SSH, go on, drop a comment or put me on, link me to a video where they're doing that so that I can learn for myself. Alright, that pretty much takes care of everything. I hope you guys found some kind of value. I hope you learned something. That's all I got for y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on that next video. You know how it goes. I'll holler at y'all.